Thank you. Good evening. I'm Bill Maley, Brighton Town Supervisor, and I'm pleased to welcome you all to the September 11th, 2024 meeting of the Brighton Town Board. I hereby call this meeting to order. We will begin the open forum portion of the meeting shortly after we present some proclamations this evening. The open forum is the portion of the meeting when members of the public have the opportunity to share their comments with the Town Board. I'll give instructions on the open forum when we get to that part of the agenda. But if you're watching us on YouTube or on our cable access channel, you'll have to log into Zoom in order to speak either during the open forum or during one of our public hearings this evening. And there are detailed instructions for logging into Zoom on the Town of Brighton webpage. That webpage is at www.townofbrighton.org. As we have done for many years now, we make our town board meetings accessible to the deaf and hard of hearing community. Tonight, our ASL interpreters are Samantha Geffen and Sarah Funk. Sarah and Samantha, thank you both. Welcome. As a reminder, too, the agenda for tonight's meeting and all the supporting material that we will be relying on all are located on the table in the back of the room. And if you're watching us remotely, again, they're all available on the Town of Brighton webpage. If you're able to, I ask that you rise. If you're not able to do so, please rise in spirit. We will start the meeting with a pledge to the flag. Councilmember Warner, if you would lead us, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That pledge takes on added significance today. I started today, as I do September 11th every year, at the 9/11 Memorial on the MCC campus here in Brighton. That memorial was dedicated on the first anniversary of the attacks on September 11th, 2022. And every year, the college holds its memorial ceremony at that site. Now, we're, of course, 23 years after the attack. And most of the students at MCC weren't even born on 9/11. But each year, the students at the college play an integral role in the ceremony. MCC President Dr. Deanna Bertnana spoke at the ceremony today, as did Mayor Malik Evans. And a common theme in both of their remarks was unity, coming together as a community, and a reminder, of course, of how after 9/11, there was a meeting of the minds in many ways that are hard to find today. Mark Matalino, who was the designer of the memorial, also spoke, and he struck the same theme. He quoted Sandy Daw, who was the widow of the pilot of Flight 93, of course, the flight that was crashed into the ground at Shanksville, avoiding a worse disaster potentially in Washington, D.C. Sandy said, "Life is short and there is no time for hate." The fact that now an entire generation of students has been born since 9/11 highlights a challenge that MCC has been facing by continuing to hold this ceremony every year on September 11th. Involving students who weren't even alive in many or most cases when the disaster happened. But at that ceremony, they give honor to first responders, to service members, and to those who were on board the flights. If you've never visited the memorial on the MCC campus, it was designed by Mr. Matalino with voids. It's a concrete flag-shaped plate, really, with voids representing the voids of the World Trade Center that is no longer there. Behind it are white, I don't know if they're stone or dyed concrete inlays. And the sun shines through those voids onto that white-colored inlay at exactly 8:45 on September 11th each year, 1 minute before the time that the first airplane crashed into the World Trade Center. And that's intended, the symbolism is to remember the sunlight immediately before. It was a beautiful sunny day, immediately before the first plane hit the World Trade Center. And then very quickly, the shadow moves across the white inlay in the concrete, reflecting the shadow that fell over all of our lives when the World Trade Center went down, and a cascade of events that took over 3,000 lives and many more afterwards because of medical or trauma-related issues. A day that truly changed the world forever. But what I think is really important is the way they involve MCC students in it. As speakers, as the moderators, it is very much an event that they work hard to engage the campus as a whole in. Then this afternoon, I attended the annual opening ceremony of the Mercy Bridges Field of Honor. That features what I really find to be a moving field of, moving in a sense of powerful, field of American flags on the front lawn of the Our Lady of Mercy Mother House on Blossom Road near 590. Those flags honor or memorialize first responders, service personnel, and others. And it was my privilege this year to sponsor a flag in that field that was flown in memory of our former colleague, Marine Corps Colonel and former town board member Jim Vogel. Jim was a great friend of the Sisters of Mercy and Mercy High School. I'll never forget the first time I attended that event, coming down off the ramp off of 590 and getting down to Blossom Road and looking right to make that right turn and seeing this field magnificently covered with American flags. It took, I honestly can say, it took my breath away. That ceremony, again, honors first responders, it honors veterans, and it supports Mercy Bridges, which is a literacy program primarily for non-native English speakers that's affiliated with the Sisters of Mercy. Mercy Bridges has literally worked with hundreds of speakers who are non-primarily first language English speakers to improve their skills as well as make them job ready and the like. So it's a great organization. And here again, of course, Mercy High School is there on the campus. And the students from Our Lady of Mercy High School were involved. The Mercy Chorus sang a number of songs, and again, each of the speakers noted the importance of their presence. Many of you know Rochester Police Officer Moses Robinson. Moses, as is always the case, directed what were really powerful and engaging remarks towards those students in particular. But each of the speakers noted the importance of having the students there. I am really grateful that there are 2 9/11 observances in the town of Brighton on 9/11 of each year. It's important that we respect and honor this day, that we respect and honor 9/11 here in Brighton and the 3,000 who were lost. So I'll now ask for a moment of silence in memory of the lives lost on 9/11 and afterwards. Thank you. We have proclamations being presented tonight. And first, I'm going to call Jennifer Farringer and Christy Petrenko.
We'll just be me
Just you?
today.
Okay.
But I also have a lovely group of folks,
Fantastic.
families and other
Fantastic. Well, thank you, and we'll make sure both
Yes.
organizations are recognized. Flip them over here, sorry. Okay. You know, when we give these proclamations, in many cases, of course, really in all cases, we're honoring a person, an organization. But many of these proclamations really do more than just honor an organization or more than just honor the work of someone, but they serve an educational purpose. And the proclamations this evening are very much as educational as well as honorific. We first recognize September as Fetal Alcohol Spectrum Disorders Awareness Month. Alcohol consumption during pregnancy is the leading preventable cause of birth defects and developmental disorders in the United States. And why is this educational? Well, prevention of FASD is really a matter of education about the risks of consuming alcohol at any time during a pregnancy. So to try to help do that and to try to help support organizations like yours that are doing that every day, let me present this proclamation. Whereas alcohol is now recognized as the leading preventable cause of birth defects and developmental disorders in the United States, with 1 in 20 school-aged children impacted by fetal alcohol spectrum disorders due to their exposure to alcohol prenatally. And whereas there is no known amount of alcohol that is safe to drink while pregnant and no safe time to drink during pregnancy. However, the first 3 months of pregnancy, when the brain develops, is a particularly critical time of fetal development when alcohol can damage the brain. And whereas September is recognized as Fetal Alcohol Spectrum Disorders Awareness Month, as a reminder that drinking alcohol during the 9 months of pregnancy can cause a variety of lifelong issues for newborn babies, including low IQ, learning disabilities, speech and language delays, mild to severe behavioral problems, vision and hearing problems, problems with vital organs, and more. Whereas individuals and families living with FASD often struggle in their search for medical and personal support. So the work of DePaul's National Center on Alcoholism and Drug Dependence in the Rochester area, and the Mount Hope Family Center and the Division of Developmental and Behavioral Pediatrics at the University of Rochester, which is also affiliated with FASD United, their work is critically important. Now therefore be it proclaimed that I, William W. Maley, Brighton Town Supervisor, along with the members of the Brighton Town Board, do hereby recognize September as Fetal Alcohol Spectrum Disorders Awareness Month in the town of Brighton. We salute these important organizations, encourage all Brightonians to promote the message that FASD is a serious and wholly preventable diagnosis, and support women in abstaining from alcohol during their pregnancy. And this proclamation is signed this 11th day of September 2024, signed by myself and my colleagues on the town board. Christy, it's a pleasure and a privilege to be able to present this to you. We'll take a photo and then give you the opportunity to speak.
I get
The
a
podium is
sound
yours.
to like, oh. Well, I want to first just thank the town and the town board and members for all your support over the years, at least for the last 4 years in recognizing FASD awareness and supporting our local events. For example, this last weekend, we had a run event out at Northampton Park in Brockport and had over 120 participants come, which is a new increase for us. You heard about the importance of FASD and the impact on children and families. And I want to just really take a moment to highlight a couple additional pieces that I think are really important. The first is that we often think about FASD as a pediatric condition, but it affects people across the whole life. And while you hear about many of the challenges, there are also many strengths and talents that people with FASD have, and they have the potential to really thrive in our communities. They're very motivated to connect and be included. The challenge is that our society is not providing the resources and supports. So for example, here in Rochester, we have one diagnostic clinic that serves almost the entire state of New York. We see 200 kids a year, and there's one provider in New York City. And for something that's as common or more common than autism, for a 5%, we really need to do better. And we need to find ways to create innovative systems of care, housing, recreation, and access. And so thank you very much for helping make this issue. And just to let people know that there are legislation both at the state and the national level that can help make a difference. So as you are able and interested, I encourage you to reach out to your state and national partners to see what else we can do. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and I hope people here in the room, the ones that were listening, and people out there do take advantage. You know, there are things that we all can do, and thank you for coming tonight. Next, I want to invite Ginger Ruff to join me at the podium. Ginger is a familiar face to regulars here. Tonight recognizes that September is also National Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month. Now in Brighton, thanks to Ginger, we have a very visible symbol of the significance of the month. If you've driven through the 12 Corners, you've surely noticed the teal-colored ribbons throughout the 12 Corners Park. That's symbolic of the Turn the Towns Teal program that is carried out throughout the country. And in Brighton, Turn the Towns Teal happens every year because of the love and dedication of Ginger Ruff, her desire to honor her mother's memory, and this mission of love that you have taken on. Turn the Towns Teal also serves as a reminder to women and to their partners, spouses, and friends of the importance of diagnostic testing for ovarian cancer. The successful outcome rate is very good, but it is very difficult, and it's only good if it is detected early. This is the 10th year that Ginger has turned the 12 Corners teal, and I'm so pleased to welcome you tonight, present you with this proclamation, and give you as well the opportunity to speak to the community. Thank you so much, Ginger.
Appreciate your support.
The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. I appreciate Brighton's 10 years of support. It's amazing to me. My mom was diagnosed with ovarian cancer in 2010, and she fought a battle for 3 years, passing away in October of 2013. And since then, I have been turning Brighton teal to try and spread the word so other families don't have to go through what my family went through. Ovarian cancer is known as a silent cancer. A lot of the symptoms of ovarian cancer are things women face every day: bloating, incontinence, pelvic pain, back pain, things that people don't think are alarming. But my mom's message was always to be your best advocate, to go see your doctor, ask for more information, ask for the testing, know yourself well enough to know when something isn't right. And so I was able to partner with Turn the Towns Teal 10 years ago. I grew up in Connecticut, and my mom's friends did it in Connecticut, and I said, I'd love to bring this to my community as well. So I was able to turn the Towns Teal thanks to Brighton the past 10 years and 6 years in Pittsford this year. So we're trying to spread the word to people to get checked out, to know the symptoms, to check on their loved ones about it. And we tie ribbons in the 12 Corners Park for the month of September. It's just educational. We're not trying to raise money. We just want to get the word out there and normalize the conversation. So I really appreciate your support. Bill's been a wonderful advocate, and I look forward to another great 10 years of turning Brighton teal. Thank you.
Thank you, Ginger. Thank you, Christy. Appreciate you coming tonight to highlight these important awareness issues. Before we begin the open forum, in case you missed the news, on Monday, the town announced that we would be receiving grants in the amount of $1.2 million from Senator Cooney and Assemblymember Clark to renovate the town hall pool, build a splash pad, replace the existing playground at Town Hall with a new and more accessible playground. This is an exciting opportunity for the town to establish a recreational facility here at Town Hall, one that will serve children and families of different ages, different abilities. With these grants, we can not only meet the need that we heard from many residents about the importance of preserving our pool, but also up our game to provide improved and more accessible opportunities for play right here in the center of Brighton. Thank you to Senator Cooney and Assemblymember Clark, who responded so quickly to our request for grant support, and also to the residents who shared their input with us. I particularly want to thank Dr. Mahendra and Jyoti Nanavati, who will be making a generous contribution towards replacing the decrepit pavilion that currently is on the site right behind the pool. They'll be replacing that with a newer, much more modern, and I think much more attractive pavilion. So we will now begin our open forum. We hold it at the beginning of every town board meeting. It's an opportunity for members of the public to address the board concerning any matter relating to the town, whether or not it's an item on our agenda tonight. If you're here for any of the 4 public hearings that are on the agenda tonight, and each of those public hearings relates to an extension of the Brighton Consolidated Refuse District in 4 different areas in town, I would encourage you to wait until those public hearings are opened and your comments can be included in the record of those public hearings. If you'd like to speak during the open forum and you're here in person, please raise your hand when we get started. When I call on you, please come up to the podium to speak. If you're not here, if you're participating in the meeting remotely, but would also like to speak during the open forum, you have to join the meeting on Zoom. We talked about that a moment ago, and there are directions on how to join the Zoom meeting on our webpage. The host for the meeting will admit you to speak if you use the raised hand function showing your interest in speaking. I do ask all speakers during the open forum, whether you're speaking in person or remotely, to please state your name and address before speaking. Please limit your remarks to 3 minutes, and I'll give a 30-second warning before your time expires. We may not be able to answer the questions. If you have questions that you want to ask us, particularly if your question relates to a matter that's not on the agenda tonight, but our goal here tonight and during the open forum that we hold at every town board meeting is to give you the opportunity to share your thoughts with the board and for us to be able to listen thoughtfully to your words. Therefore, I ask that you please direct your remarks to the town board and not to the room or to other speakers. Please refrain from personal attacks and from outbursts of any kind, including applause, boos, or any similar disruption during the open forum, out of respect for the speakers and for the time of everyone here tonight. Also, out of respect for others in the room who may not be able to see, we do not allow signs to be displayed during town board meetings, including during the open forum and, for that matter, during public hearings. We'll warn, give the opportunity to people to let them know if they violate those rules. Repeated failure to follow the rules or failure to follow other direction from the chair may result in your speaking privilege being ended, being directed to leave the meeting, or the early termination of the open forum. So I see Louise Novros' hand up. If you'd like to speak, please come to the podium. Please state your name and address.
My name is Louise Novros. I'm at 116 Seminole Way. I would like to express our appreciation for you agreeing to save our swimming pool. We hope that this can be the beginning of a new era whereby an aquatic program can be reestablished for our children and our grandchildren, and that we will be able to enjoy the pool as soon as by next summer, if possible. There are still a lot of questions we would like answered, and I'll let others speak to you about those. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board during the open forum? Is there anyone else? Yes.
My name is Lauren Macy. I live at 56 Oak Lane. I wanted to speak today at the open forum to express just how elated many Brighton residents are as they heard the news regarding the pool and the grant money obtained. We are so thankful for Senator Jeremy Cooney and Assemblywoman Sarah Clark for hearing our concerns and quickly jumping in to help. We'd like to express our gratitude to the town board as well for securing the grant money on behalf of our community and for recognizing the value and importance that the pool holds for all of us. Your decision reflects an understanding of the positive impact that this pool has on our residents' well-being, and we appreciate your commitment to preserving this essential resource. The pool is a vital space for recreation, fitness, and community, and your support ensures it will continue to serve as a gathering place for all. Thank you for prioritizing the pool and its future for our town. And Bill, despite our immense efforts to fight for the pool, we had often had some doubts if you'd dive into keeping our pool idea, and we are so glad you had.
No diving in the pool.
It's not deep enough. So, I just had some key kind of questions that I guess we can maybe look forward to discussing later. And that's just that, we're hoping for some better transparency and communication moving forward. One of the community's greatest concerns was just the lack of transparency in the decision-making. Residents had expressed frustration at being kept out of the loop regarding the pool's future. So we'd like to see some better efforts maybe with the communication and to avoid these situations where the residents had learned about the pool almost at the last minute, it felt like. Second, just the future of the pool and the programs. The pool's visibility has decreased over the years, and the programming has suffered as a result of cutting the aquatic position. We are fortunate to be able to keep this pool, so how do we revitalize and promote it now? Reinstating the swim programs, the events, I know you talked about that, and the community initiatives is crucial. So to achieve this, will the town hire a program director who will be responsible for organizing swim lessons, community events, and safety programs as a hub of activity? And then the last question is just, we would like to know how the grant money will be allocated for improving the pool. What improvements are planned? How will these changes enhance the pool experience for everyone? And hopefully the transparency on how the funds will be used will ensure the pool remains a valuable asset for years to come. So thank you again. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
We're very happy, so thank you.
And I know we had a chance to talk, at least 3 members of your group after the press conference the other day. We don't have all the answers to all of those questions. I do anticipate in our tentative budget that I will talk about a little bit later tonight, we're going to have some opportunity to restore and increase some funding. We all know that water sports, aquatics, was probably the recreational activity that was hardest hit during the pandemic. And one of the lingering impacts has been the challenge in hiring lifeguards in particular, but also others. The town has dramatically increased our pay scales for lifeguards. And we know that to hold a more robust aquatics program as people begin to feel safer getting back into the water, that's part of what would have to happen, is to make sure we're staffing. We're going to have an assessment of the pool and its condition and recommendations. There'll be a design. This will be a significant project. All of these will be significant projects. They'll go to competitive bid, as we're required to do under state law. And the timing and exactly when it'll open is in part a function of just the challenges of construction, not only of those projects themselves, but also the construction project here at Town Hall, and making sure that as that project begins around the 1st of December, that and continues through next year and into 2026, that we can operate the recreational activities safely without putting participants at risk, either from construction traffic or, that back area of Town Hall is going to be one of the areas particularly impacted, I anticipate, from our geothermal retrofit, which is a tremendous sustainability initiative for the town. But the wells will be drilled in the rear portions of Town Hall. We don't know exactly where. We don't know exactly what the fenced-in area will look like. So, but, it's certainly my hope, and I know we'll work with our contractors to make every effort, if we possibly can, to engage in some or all of the programming out there safely. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board? Yes.
My name is Lisa Feibush. I live at 92 Bonnie Bray Avenue. I'd like to start by thanking Senator Cooney and Assemblywoman Clark for securing us the funding that will allow the pool to be preserved and improved. I'm here tonight to talk about what it means for a community to come together. Not everybody who is watching this is aware, but we had 1,100 people sign a petition to keep the pool. We had a whole community. We had people who made flyers. We had people who distributed the flyers and knocked on doors. We had people who came to the market, came to town meetings, came to committee meetings, speaking up because something they thought was important was being dismissed by their elected leaders. And while that has been solved now, I'm concerned that as citizens, we're being treated not as partners, but as an annoyance. Before the last board meeting, we sent the petition to all of the board members, the supervisor, the clerk, the attorney. We sent the signatures, we sent the comments. Nobody responded directly to us about that petition. It was the citizens group that has reached out to the state legislators. But when the announcement that the pool was saved was made, we were not treated as partners. We were not invited to the news conference or to participate in that. We were not even told there was going to be a news conference. We had to find that out from TV. And tonight we were mentioned in terms of raising concerns that had to be addressed, but at no point has the hard work of everybody in the town who cared about the pool that they've put in to get to this point has been acknowledged, and we're disappointed. If you look at the town's Facebook pages, you're going to see a pattern where our supervisor engages with even social media trolls, anybody who praises him. But when there's any disagreement, he cuts people off. There's no response. There's no reaction. There's no acknowledgement that there even may be outstanding issues, and that is not what we should teach our children that leadership looks like. There's still a lot ahead in this process as the exact details of the new pool come together. We want to know if, as citizens, we are going to be treated as the full partners that you say we are, or if this will remain an adversarial process. If it does remain adversarial, we want to know what the town expects to gain from that. Our immediate concerns are the timeline of the renovations, how it will affect the pool's availability, because we want to lose as little of the upcoming season as possible. And we also still have concerns about how the splash pad will have an impact on the area. Those concerns include, but are not limited to, the actual ongoing construction of the splash pad, where it will be located, the proximity to the houses, the proximity to the pool, and whether any trees or any other structures will have to be removed.
30 seconds.
Thank you, I'm finished.
Thank you. Just to correct a couple of things, the town, I personally reached out to both Senator Cooney and Assemblymember Clark and made a personal ask for the grant money. I recognize that members of your group also did, and that was a positive thing. That helped them be aware of the issue and its significance to the community. So, as I did in my remarks, I thank whoever it was that reached out to her. I think that's fine. Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board during the open forum? Hearing none, Chris, can I have a motion?
Do we have anybody on Zoom, Bill?
No.
If so, I move that we approve the agenda.
Second.
Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado.
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman.
Aye.
Supervisor Maley.
Aye. Tonight we do have 4 public hearings, each one of which involves the extension of the Brighton Consolidated Refuse District. As you know, we consolidated our many refuse districts a couple of years ago to establish one district that we now extend over new areas as people petition to join. This is the last opportunity to extend the refuse district to take effect on January 1, 2025. But I really want to encourage, and I do this every year, I want to encourage residents and neighborhoods, streets, to reach out. Chad Roscoe in our Department of Public Works, and Chad's number is 784-5224. Chad is our special district, and in particular, our refuse district guru down in the Public Works Department. History shows us that residents in refuse districts save over $100 a year on their refuse charges. They also get an ally, because if there is a problem, and it sometimes happens, a street gets missed, there's a substitute driver or something, the town can reach out on behalf of all of those residents, and we have done that in the past. So there are some real advantages to a refuse district, and I, again, encourage neighborhoods that have been on the fence or thinking about it. You got time now? Think about, call Chad, find out what the petition process looks like, find out how maybe you can start a refuse district in time for January 1st, 2026. But in any event, tonight, the first public hearing concerns the proposed refuse district extension that will include certain properties on Evandale Road, Glen Hill Drive, and Idlewood Lane. And I'll ask the clerk, has the necessary legal notice been given in this public hearing?
Yes, Supervisor, notice was in the August 30th edition of the Daily Record.
Great. Notice having been given, then I declare this public hearing to be open. Is there anyone here? Well, first I'll ask our Commissioner of Public Works is not here with us tonight, but Town Engineer Ken Hurley is with us. Ken, anything you want to add to what I've already said there?
No, you covered it very well.
Great. All right. Thank you. Then I'll ask, and I did declare the public hearing to be open, I believe. Okay. I will ask if there's anyone here in the audience that would like to speak concerning this proposed district extension. Seeing nobody, and there's nobody on Zoom, I declare this public hearing to be closed. Can I have a motion? You have a motion in your packet. Councilmember Corrado.
Certainly. I'm in the matter of the proposed extension of the Brighton Consolidated Refuse District to include certain properties on Evandale Road, Glen Hill Drive, and Idlewood Lane. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado.
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman.
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy.
Aye. The second public hearing includes certain properties on Highland Avenue, again, for a proposed extension of the Brighton Consolidated Refuse District to include those parcels. Dan, has the necessary legal notice been given on this public hearing?
Yes, Supervisor, this notice was also in the August 30th edition of the Daily Record.
Thank you. Then, notice having been given, I declare this public hearing to be open. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the town board on this public hearing concerning the proposed extension of the Consolidated Refuse District to include properties on Highland Avenue? And I see no one here in the audience, and I see no one on Zoom. There being no comments, I declare this public hearing to be closed. And Chris, can I have a motion on that matter?
I'd be pleased to. With respect to the proposed extension of the Brighton Consolidated Refuse District to include certain properties on Highland Avenue, I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
Any discussion?
Bill, I had occasion to spend some time these last 2 days in one of our adjoining towns in a neighborhood that does not have refuse districts. And I could see the clear benefit of what we do here in Brighton. And I see no reason why the other towns aren't doing it wholesale as well. Multiple colored bins, trucks up and down the street, and at a significantly higher cost than what I know we're paying here. So this is what local government is all about.
I agree, and you bring up something that I hadn't mentioned before, but it's something we hear about, and that is that there's only one truck going down your street, one company. Competition is great. Our goal is to do the competition right here when we open it up to bids and give any of the providers the opportunity. So thanks for that, Chris. Any other discussion on the motion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado.
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman.
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy.
Aye. The third public hearing concerns, the proposed refuse district extension, but this is just for one property. It's a property located at 1356 South Winton Road. Dan, has the necessary legal notice been published in this matter?
Yes, Supervisor, this was also published in the August 30th edition of the Daily Record.
Great. Notice having been given, I declare this public hearing open. Is there anyone here to speak concerning the public hearing on the proposed extension of the Brighton Consolidated Refuse District to include the property located at 1356 South Winton Road? And I see no one on Zoom. With no one here in the room and no one on Zoom, I declare this public hearing to be closed. Robin, would you like to make the motion on this one?
Certainly. In regards to the proposed extension of the Brighton Consolidated Refuse District to include 1356 South Winton Road, I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado.
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman.
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy.
Aye. And finally, the last one is proposed extension number 15 to the Brighton Consolidated Refuse District. This extension would include certain properties that are located on Trailwood Circle Dan, has the necessary legal notice been given on this matter?
Yes, Supervisor, the notice for this was in the August 30th edition of the Daily Record.
Great. Notice having been given, I declare this final public hearing to be open. Is there anyone here in the room that would like to address the town board concerning this public hearing to extend the Brighton Consolidated Refuse District to include properties on Trailwood Circle? No one here in the room, and I see no one on Zoom. Therefore, I declare this public hearing to be closed. Nate, would you like to
You got it.
finish going down the row? And
That's right. Perfect. 4. We only do 4 at a time. In the matter of the proposed extension, number 15, to Brighton Consolidated Refuse District to include certain properties on Trailwood Circle, I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second?
Any discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley?
Aye. We have one item of communications tonight. It's a letter from the county executive, Adam Bello, advising that the county is making an award of $406,524.18 for youth and senior congregate programming. We will be getting an agreement to memorialize our understanding with the county on that. All we are doing tonight is receiving and filing this letter. We will have that tentative agreement at some point later this year, and then it'll come into the board for action. Can I have a motion to receive and file that item of communication?
Bill, I move.
Robin?
Bill, I move that we receive and file the item of communication.
Second.
Any further discussion? Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley?
Aye. Committee reports, community services. Robin,
Thank you, Bill.
we'll go back down through the floor.
The Community Services Committee has not met in the intervening timeframe since our last town board meeting. I do, however, have a few quick updates from our Parks and Recreation Department heads. From our Parks Department, park crews installed some leash law signage on the Auburn Trail to alleviate concerns over dogs being unleashed on the trail. Please do follow leashing regulations in our parks and on our trails and throughout town so that everyone can enjoy our recreational resources regardless of one's physical or emotional constraints around interaction with dogs. It's safer for our four-legged friends and enhances accessibility of our resources for all. Mowing has once again become time-consuming with field use demands of the athletic season, but with our new mower, our park staff are now able to keep the athletics fields at a reasonable length. Then from our recreation department, registration for fall programming is now open for residents and non-residents alike. Registration for residents opened on September 3rd, 2024, and registration for non-residents opened on September 10th, 2024. We want to thank everyone who participated in our summer camps, adult fitness classes, senior picnics, Family Fun Fridays, community events, and all other Brighton Rec events over this summer. And now that a new season of fun is upon us, we hope you will browse now and register early. You can register online, by phone, mail, or in person at the Recreation Office. We're always adding new programs, so be sure to check our website, follow us on Facebook, and keep your eye on our Friday emails for new and exciting programs. See you soon at the Brighton Rec. Also, the third in our series of community bike rides will take place on Friday, September 13th at 6:45 p.m. Brighton Recreation invites the community to join us and our friends at Reconnect Rochester for a bike around town. This particular ride is generously sponsored by Jackie Marchand of Women Tours. The ride is targeted for intermediate skill levels, ages 11 plus, and helmets and registration is required. So please join us now and get to know Brighton by bike. Our Hispanic Heritage Month celebration will take place on Friday, September 27th at 12 noon, right here at the Town Hall. The Town of Brighton will celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month, so please do join us. Our Halloween trunk or treat will take place at the Brighton Town Hall Public Safety Wing, 2300 Elmwood Avenue on Saturday, October 19th from 10 to 11:30 a.m. Our sensory-friendly trick-or-treating event will be held at Brighton Town Hall in the main floor offices, 2300 Elmwood Avenue on Friday, October 25th. And our Drug Enforcement Agency semi-annual pharmaceutical take-back event will occur at Brighton Town Hall Public Safety Wing, 2300 Elmwood Avenue on Saturday, October 26th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And our semi-annual electronics recycling and secure document shredding event will take place at the Brighton Highway Department, 1941 Elmwood Avenue on Sunday, October 27th from 9 a.m. to 12 noon. The next meeting of the Community Services Committee is next Wednesday, September 18th at 9:30 a.m. or immediately following our Finance and Administrative Services Committee meeting at the Brighton Recreation Center Multipurpose Room. Please do access the Recreation Department through the Winton Road entrance, and as always, members of the public are invited and encouraged to attend.
Thanks, Robin. And the one thing I want to add as it relates to Hispanic Heritage Month, which begins on the 15th, is that we will also have a Hispanic Heritage morning at the Brighton Farmers Market, and that will be on Sunday, September 29th. And again, I think both of those programs are going to, we've got some wonderful people to be recognizing and some great engagement with people of all ages. So thanks for that. Okay, Finance, Nate.
Yes, the Finance and Administrative Services Committee last met on September 4th. Everything that we discussed is on the agenda tonight. I did want to highlight two things, just because I heard some feedback from the community about grants. Well, we're very excited to talk about one grant tonight, which totals $441,350. It's a portion of the Division of Criminal Justice Law Enforcement grant that the chief was able to win from New York State, which will go toward funding for computer equipment, audio equipment, trailers, and other items. Bill, I know that's on the agenda, but I wanted to highlight that, as well as I know later on the agenda we will talk about the capital improvement plan. Specifically, there you go, I got this up on my phone. I'm normally a paper guy, but this one I got on my phone. Specifically changing to include the $1.2 million for the town playground facility grant, which includes a splash pad, a playground, and the pool. So I wanted to highlight that is updated in our capital improvement plan, as well as $1.7 million for sidewalk construction, the county 50% match, grant match, which I think goes to show you how much we prioritize sidewalk construction and maintenance here in Brighton.
And collaboration.
And collaboration. You got it. Our next meeting will be on September 18th, right here at 8:30 a.m.
Thanks. And actually, it's even a little bit better than that, because that 400 and something thousand of the law enforcement grant is only about half of the total amount that DCJS has awarded. They have awarded over $800,000 in grant funds to the town, and we'll be hearing more about those as the department determines how best to invest that money.
That's right.
Okay, thanks, Nate. Public safety, Chris.
Thanks, Bill. We met, Public Safety Committee met yesterday, the 10th, and we received reports from the various services. Brighton Ambulance reported 5,417 calls year to date, of which 684 were in the month of July. Brighton Fire Department reported on calls to date of 1,643 calls. They did have one very serious and tragic call right out front of station number 1, which was the result of a high-speed chase out of the city of Rochester by the Rochester Police Department, which ended up in a fatality at that intersection. We did have an extended discussion of our own policy regarding high-speed chase, and in that instance, the police were chasing a vehicle which had been involved in a gunfight in the city. We have similar criteria, but again, we do not engage in high-speed chases such as that. The fire department participated in 9/11 remembrance events, and if you see out at station number 1, the flags all around the perimeter of the building, which is very striking. They are beginning the fire safety activities with many neighborhood and community events, as well as schools safety presentations, and they are participating in the homecoming, as well as first responder days at the market. The police department has responded to 33,059 calls year to date. They participated in the Bridge the Gap event on Jefferson Avenue at Helping Hands Church and handed out bicycle helmets. Also, they will participate on the 15th at the Seton Catholic School Bike Rodeo with the Cub Scouts there. They will participate and serve us at the homecoming event on the 21st, and then Public Safety Day, they'll be engaged at the farmers market from 10 to 1 p.m.
That's on the 29th.
On the 29th, yes. October 5th will be the rabies clinic at the Public Safety Wing from 10 o'clock a.m. to 2 p.m. And that's open to anyone who wishes to bring their pet in and receive a rabies shot. The chief also gave a report on the National Policing Institute that has been meeting and will continue to meet monthly until the end of the year. They have collected data and now are disaggregating the data. I had to think about that word and realize it meant they're going to analyze the data points. But disaggregating is pretty impressive. But it's an important study. Initial findings are scheduled for December and are expected to be received before the end of the year. Also, the police department responded to traffic complaints along Corbett's Glen, as well as Southland Road, who were concerned about speeding, what they believe was speeding on the street. They collected data and reported on the average speed, which was actually quite modest there. But we want to encourage people to recognize that we have a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit in our town. There, the average was 21.4 miles an hour, so that's refreshing. But we did discuss also concerns about Corbett's Glen. We had a couple of residents come in and participate in our discussion of new signage that's going to be implemented there, and also some concerns about folks that mistake the entrance to Glen Road to be the 490 expressway entrance. Or the Linden Oaks entrance. It seems stunning, but I guess when you're not familiar with the area, and while I sat there, I did see one car pull in thinking they were going on the expressway, and with a stunned look on their face saw the dead end signs and then went back out again. And I decided to stop again yesterday afternoon, and sure enough, while I was sitting there, somebody else came down in and went right down towards Corbett's Glen and turned around and came right back up again, again looking somewhat befuddled. So it's a difficult situation. All we can do is attempt to address it with our signage.
Yeah, and maybe there's something more, because we've talked about, and kudos to everybody involved, and you've led the Public Safety Committee, and we've talked and we've worked with the folks in the neighborhood. They came into the meeting and we had a good dialogue about the signage on Glen Road.
Yes.
I can't help but think that there's something on 441 itself that maybe we can speak with the state about, because once they get into Glen Road, they know there's something wrong. We got to stop them from making that turn into Glen Road. And I'm not sure what it's going to take to do it.
Absolutely. Well, it's a super highway in the middle of a neighborhood.
Well, it's a super, yeah, right next to a neighborhood anyway.
Right next
Yeah, it
to a
is.
neighborhood,
And a very, very, important, but also very small and, and constricted neighborhood in terms of the street and the beauty of the park.
Right. Also, we had a discussion of safety along French Road between Heatherstone and the Pittsford Town Line. A resident came in, and we had quite an extended discussion about the different aspects and what we could do to help that situation. Also, Councilmember Corrado mentioned the need for striping along South Clinton, along Elmwood, at South Clinton, and also at Lac DeVille.
Refreshing of the striping.
Refreshing of the striping, yes. Beyond that, Henrietta Fire District has responded to 562 calls in West Brighton, none of any significance. And in July, 76 calls. They did note a very tragic loss of a retired career firefighter in their Henrietta Corps by suicide at the Pinnacle Road Station. And we had an extended discussion about retirement and how difficult a transition it is for members of our various services and how that should be addressed, both in Henrietta and in Brighton. Also, Councilmember Corrado will continue to review and propose updates to the school zone areas within the town of Brighton, together with Commissioner Sprague. We appreciate that effort because it is a bit of a hodgepodge of signs, and it's a very important safety aspect of those zones, of having the proper signage. Next meeting, October 8th, 0800, here in the Town Hall Auditorium. Please attend.
Thank you, Chris. Public Works, Christine.
Public Works met on the heels of public safety yesterday. Commissioner Sprague is on a well-earned vacation, and Engineer Hurley pinch hit yesterday. Pinch hitted.
It's another one.
Another sports. Yeah. And I appreciate you stepping up, adding that into the many other things you had on your plate yesterday. And we are going to muddle through a quick report together, ad-libbed. Minutes are forthcoming. It was an abbreviated agenda as well, so everyone will appreciate the short report out. We did have residents addressing some concerns during open forum, one particularly about attending to the right-of-way. Neighbors are responsible for keeping the right-of-way cleared adjacent to their property so that views are not obstructed. We have a process for reminding neighbors who are not attending to that that it is their responsibility. And if it doesn't get attended to, it can escalate to fines and the town doing the mowing on the residents' behalf. You don't want that. So tidy up your right-of-way. We touched on, we had a presentation from Waste Management. So talking trash yesterday, talking trash tonight.
Also a sports analogy.
Is that a sports analogy too? Look at me.
I thought you did that on purpose.
I must have been an athlete in another life. In any case, we had a presentation from a representative from Waste Management on some changes that could be implemented should they be the successful bidders. And they are specifically about the potential for adopting recycling totes, replacing the open bins that we currently have in our refuse districts. The recycling totes will have lids on them should we adopt those, and I think that will be appreciated by many on windy days. We did address the Glen Road traffic concerns. The residents, and thanks to Engineer Hurley, have zeroed in on signage that should help considerably. And we know we'll keep an eye on that between public safety and public works to see that improves the situation there. At about that point, one other important point that was addressed yesterday was the East Avenue sidewalk at Knollwood Drive, the most long-awaited segment of sidewalk in all of Brighton. And bids will go out on October 1st, and
Actually, bids will be
received on October 1st.
Today, or Tuesday. Tuesday, they're available through October 1st when they're due on 10 o'clock.
And the successful bidder, we anticipate, will begin working on October 7th and wrapping it up before Halloween. So, all other matters on the agenda were tabled until next month. We reconvene on October 8th at 9 a.m.
Thanks, Christine. And to that last point, John, this is something that we hadn't discussed, but I was mentally doing the calendar in my mind. Our next town board meeting is the September 25th. Because of the timeline on those Knollwood, the East Avenue sidewalks near Allen's Creek School, and the need to be as expeditious as we can because of the annual closing of the asphalt plants and work in the roadway as part of this project. And with the bids coming in on October 1st, the Finance Committee meets on October 2nd, and we had discussed possibly holding a special town board meeting following the Finance Committee. Do we have enough time if we set it at the next town board meeting, that special meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
You can do a special meeting up to 48 hours before the meeting.
Okay. Then that's something to look forward to at our next meeting.
Okay.
Good. But, just so the public knows, I do anticipate we will be noticing and holding a special town board meeting during the day on October 2nd here. Okay, committee reports are done. Thank you, everybody. Nate, reading and approval of claims, new business.
Yes, Bill, earlier today I reviewed claims totaling $523,865.71. One notable claim that I wanted to highlight is a payment to Pro Construction, Inc. It's a payment for 2024 sidewalk repair program in a total of $47,289.75. The theme tonight is we care about our sidewalks, and we care about maintaining our sidewalks and expanding our sidewalks. Bill, the claims all appear to be in order. I move for them to be approved.
Second?
Any discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Chris?
Next item, Bill, is to declare 5 2021 lighting systems as surplus to be disposed of as junk. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
Chief, these are law enforcement related, are they not? Yeah, they use the word junk in the same sentence as law enforcement, but.
Yeah, these are 13-year-old lights. I purchased these with Stop DWI funds way back in the day, and the batteries are no good in them anymore. Just like if you were to buy a cordless power drill and the battery's no good, you can't buy new batteries for it, only because they don't make them anymore, and the batteries would be more than the cost of the lights. We did just recently replace these lights, also with grant funding. So it's a net zero.
And you probably, even when you junk and dispose them, you have to dispose of them probably properly because of those batteries.
Yeah, I think our evidence technician will do it probably out at Echo Park, I'm assuming.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, and in fact, I see the resolution references them as 2021. I believe those are 2011.
They are. They are.
Light fixtures, yes, they are. So I see that in the agenda. I don't know that we have to do a formal motion, but I'll just note that.
There's no date identified in the resolution.
In the resolution,
Yeah,
that's
correct.
right. So we have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Nate?
The next matter seeks to approve a budget transfer of $30,000 from undistributed interest earnings account to the Department of Information Technology Computer Software Supplies account to upgrade the Finance Department's Microsoft Server and SQL licensing to the current 2022 version. I move that we approve the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second?
Earl, do you want to talk about this a little bit?
Yeah, and just to make a small correction, the licensing is not just for the finance department, it is for the entire town, and, but the purpose of doing this is that we need this licensing to upgrade our accounting system, and the licensing will be utilized for other upgrades over the years. It's something that we will, last 7 or 8 years, and by doing this now, it will prevent us from having to do a second upgrade to our accounting system in the coming year or two. So that will save about $7,500 by pulling this forward and doing everything together.
And we discussed this, originally it was anticipated we'd do this next year, and with the increased interest earnings, we're moving into this year.
Yes.
Okay. We have a motion seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye, and Nate, here's the
Yeah, that's right.
ECJS grant money.
That's perfect. The next matter seeks to approve a budget amendment transferring funds totaling $441,350 for the 2024 portion of the Division of Criminal Justice Law Enforcement Technology Grant. Long acronyms tonight. Approved by the town board on June 26, 2024 for technology-related purchases for the Brighton Police Department. I move that we approve the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second?
Discussion?
That was actually my letter, Bill, and just working with the police department, that is the anticipated way they will spend the grant funds through December. We may have another budget adjustment in December if things turn out to look a little bit different, but they've been working hard on identifying what's needed and spending that money.
Good. Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Christine?
The next matter seeks to authorize the supervisor to enter into an agreement with T.Y. Lin in an amount not to exceed $900,000 for clerk of the works and construction inspection services for the town hall renovation project. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
So this is really the first construction-related component to the significant town hall renovation project that I referenced earlier and that will be beginning before the end of the year. Because of a law in New York known as the Wicks Law, instead of, as you would do in the private sector, having a broad general contractor that's doing the range of different trades, those trades to some extent have to be broken out if a project exceeds a certain dollar amount. And the clerk of the works really becomes sort of a construction manager, making sure that those different contractors, sort of acting as general contractors within their own trade, are working together, making sure that the work that one is doing isn't conflicting with access to another, making sure the sequence of the work. We talked about it a little bit earlier in terms of the pool. Those are the kind of things that the clerk of the work is responsible for. Very, very important for a project like this. And the scope of this is much too big. We actually did essentially do the clerk of the works function internally when we did the farmer's market barn. That was a big, big effort for our facilities director. Gary worked real hard during that time period. And Everett did as well.
Yeah, it's too much for both of them.
Yep, it really is. So in this case, we have reviewed, we got 2 proposals in. And the proposal from T.Y. Lin partners with Ravi Engineering because this is Clerk of the Works and Construction Inspection Services. The T.Y. Lin firm will do the Clerk of the Works portion of the work, and the construction inspection services will be done by Ravi Engineering. You've heard us mention that firm's name in connection with a couple of other projects, bridge projects. We reviewed the 2 proposals. The other proposal was going to be done by a single entity, and we believe that based on our experience working on construction projects with both of these firms and the individuals at these firms who know the town and are very experienced working with our staff, that the T.Y. Lin proposal was the best proposal. It's the proposal that I recommend in my letter and that I hope we will take action affirmatively on tonight.
And Bill, I note that in the letter, it outlines, in Ken's letter, there'll be 12 professionals actually working on the project.
Yep.
Amongst whom might be our former commissioner, Everett Garcia, who is very familiar with the project.
He will be doing a majority of the management portion, and actually Ravi Engineering kind of gave us a list of everybody that's specialized in inspection. So not only are you going to get one inspector that knows a little bit about a lot of things, you're going to get specialized people that will be dedicated. Oh, I'm a structural person, they'll come for those inspections. I'm an electrical person, they'll come for those. So they actually provided a list that just gives such a great broad spectrum of inspection. Most of the people had 15 or 20 years experience minimum for their inspection staff. It was just a really, really very good group to be watching over our project, because it's important to all of us.
Thanks, Ken. Any further discussion on this one? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley?
Aye. Robin, the next one.
Certainly. The next matter seeks to approve a budget amendment transferring $26,015 from the University of Rochester Amenity Payment Special Revenue Fund to the General Fund for certain parks building roof repairs, authorizing the Finance Director to transfer any necessary funds associated with change orders that do not collectively exceed 15% of the transferred amount, or $3,902, and approving a budget amendment transferring up to an additional 15%, or $15,000, from the Amenity Payment Special Revenue Fund to the General Fund to complete the Sustainability Oversight Committee's priority projects primarily funded by the NYSERDA Clean Energies Community Program Grant. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
That was a mouthful. Can I have a second?
Second.
We've talked about this project, and this wraps up how we anticipate funding. It really is a 2-part project. It's a solar project. It's a solar project that is going on the roofs of some of our buildings, and those buildings needed roof repairs or replacement anyway. So there's a sort of a traditional roof repair piece, and then this solar piece. The solar work is funded through, again, a grant from the Clean Energy Communities Program, and the roof work is funded, traditionally through this particular special revenue fund. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley?
Aye. And Robin, why don't you do the next one as well?
Certainly. The next matter seeks to nominate David E.H. Brighton of the Conservation Board to serve on the Monroe County Environmental Management Council as the town's representative. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second. Oh,
Everybody wants to get in on supporting Dave. Dave has been a great volunteer to the town and a dedicated environmentalist, and he'll be a good addition to it. And I think I heard Christine's voice first. So
Yes.
you buzzed in first. That is not a sports analogy, it's a Jeopardy analogy. That's right.
but I didn't second in the form of a question.
We have motion and a second, not in the form of a question. Any further discussion of David's nomination to the Environmental Management Council? Hearing none. Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado.
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman.
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy.
Aye. The last item of new business is to approve the 2025 through 2027 capital improvement plan. Earl is going to make a presentation. After that presentation, we'll come back. I think we'll go out into the seats there to watch the presentation. You have the proposed CIP in your packet, and of course, it's available online as well. And then we'll come back and have the motion and consider it.
Hey, we'll sit over here and heckle. What's that? We're gonna sit over here and heckle them.
I feel like I should state my name and address, but
Earl Johnson, 2300 Elm Avenue.
so what I want to start with here is just the capital improvement letter that went through the FAST committee and review a couple procedural items for how we do the improvement of the plan. And this really, I have to thank all the department heads for their work on putting this together, because we begin this in about March, and we have software that we use, and everybody from each department updates all their information, puts in new items, updates the old, and then we start the process of going through them all. And part of that process involves a budget review task force, and that includes community members. This year we had Amanda Indira, Clayton Jones, and Rami Kotz help us with that process. We met 3 times in June. And then we've been following up with FAST meetings to go over all of these different items. The tradition we have is to adopt the capital improvement plan for the next 3 years. This is not a legal requirement, but what it does is just approves the plan that we have, and then the 2025 portion of this plan becomes part of our budget for the year when that is approved later on this fall. So I think that covers the beginning portions of the purpose of the approving the plan. And just some notes on the plan this year. Every year, we start with many, many items, and then we go through the difficult process of deciding what we can do in the current year, what we might be able to get grants to cover, what we might postpone, and maybe some things that we no longer need to do with our capital plan. So at the beginning of this process, we had 141 requests that were over $31 million in total, and just the 2025 items were over $11 million in total. That's too much for our budget to handle. In 25, we usually end up with about half that amount. So what we did approve and is part of the plan to adopt are 136 items that total about $29 million. And of that total, a little over $6 million are for 2025, and that will include debt service, also include grants we have received or have a very likelihood to receive, or operating items. So each year, the portion of the CIP that becomes part of the operating budget for the year is normally between $3.5 and $4 million. So this year, we are slightly over $3 million as far as the amount that needs to be covered by our operating and debt portion of the budget that we'll be passing later on this year. And just a couple quick notes that there's farmers market activity wrapping up this year, and ARPA grant funds, which we did not include in this particular report based on timing. I mean, obviously we have to commit all the ARPA funds by the end of this year, and some of those funds will be spent out this fall, but some of them will be spent in 2025. We have until the end of 26 to spend those funds. So to go over briefly the items that we are including in 25, which is really the key that we look at, because these are going to have to be funded through our budget this year. We have, to start with, an amount that we collect for our special district, so that we purchase 2 ambulances every 3 years. So this is an ongoing part of our plan, and that's $80,000, which we see there, and that we'll be continuing to do over in the year of 25. We have the reassessment project going on, and we're devoting $95,000 towards that this year. That we started in 24, and we're looking to finish that up this year. The library has a small request for public and staff computer replacement. And the next 2 items are for the consolidated sewer district. The sewer rehab program is the ongoing amount just related to updating and addressing our sewer issues annually. And that's about $325,000 this year. And then there's an Allen's Creek project, which they're looking at figuring out what needs to be done to address Allen's Creek, and that will be mostly design services to try to plan out the construction that needs to happen there. The next item, we talked about sidewalks. Each year we're increasing the amount of money we devote to sidewalk replacement, in part because the costs have gone up so much the past few years. So we have $344,000 devoted to sidewalk replacement for the sidewalk district. And then there's a whole grouping of items here that we're not going to talk about. They are debt service related to bonds and leases that we have already committed to. So we just have to update those and fit those into the budget. Midway down, you can see a small amount of expected grant to do some public safety generator work. We know we need to address some of our generators, and there's one in particular at public safety that we are looking at, and wanting to spend some attention on that in '25. The highway department has 3 items at the top of the list there: paving and resurfacing, gutter replacement, and storm sewer repair. These are annual items we budget each year, and in particular the paving projects, we expect to do almost $700,000 worth of paving projects next year, and out of that total, $476,000 is anticipated to come from grants. There are 3 items of the highway department that make up the items we expect to pay for through selling a bond next year, and that is a plow truck at $400,000, a roller, replacing a 1985 roller with a $75,000 budget line, and then a sidewalk tractor at about $60,000. So those are the 3 items we expect to bond next year, and a small amount for GPS survey equipment, also for the highway department. The highway and sewer departments together are planning to purchase a vehicle inspection platform, and that will assist them with cleaning and maintaining our vehicles safely. Next are our IT infrastructure replacements. We budget for this every year. The amount will change, but these are typical items that we need to update each year through our IT department. For our parks department, we have a 2010 Ford we plan on replacing through leasing. And we also have on the list what we've been talking about, the $1.2 million grant for aquatics and playground equipment, which will become a special project, and we'll be working on planning that next year. The last few items here, there are police items, and I should mention now that there will be additional grant funds in '25 for the police department, we know, and they will be offset when we have a better idea of what those particular items will be. Grant funds, we're always looking for grant and aid funds, and when we get awarded those funds, we will add them to the budget at any time. Part of the police program is replacing vehicles, and we have 3 vehicles slated for replacement next year. Under Public Works, there's a few items there. A couple of them are related to sidewalk construction. One of them, for $60,000, is to begin using the county program we talked about earlier to replace, to develop new sidewalks. And there are also rapid rectangular flashing beacons on the list, which are used at different crossings. We expect to do 3 of those next year. Finally, there's an ongoing tree management program, and for '25, we expect to spend $150,000 on that program. So altogether, the total is a little over $6 million for the capital improvement plan just for 2025. The following 3 pages I won't go into detail. There's too much detail there, really. And again, we will start this process over next year by looking at our 26 and 27 items, updating all that information, going through the whole process of determining what needs to be included in 26. So that's the CIP after months and months of discussion.
Thank you very much, Earl, for that presentation. It has been, and it always is, but it has been a lot of work over this time to pull this CIP together. As you pointed out, the CIP is an integral part of our budget development process. But as you noted, state law doesn't require us to do it, and even the comptroller recommends it, but doesn't require it. But we've found for many years it's a great roadmap for significant capital expenditures as well as other significant expenditures. So we do it each year. We look out 3 years, and it's a process that is very transparent. As I said, even though it's not required, we take this through the Finance Committee. We take it through the Budget Review Task Force. And although we don't have their report tonight, before the budget is approved, we will also have a report from the Sustainability Oversight Committee. I think it's important to have that report earlier in the process. It helps us do some of the kind of legwork that's been going on. But again, I think it's important to point all of those things out because there's a lot of input from different sources, including input that comes from public meetings as we put the CIP together. Earl mentioned the current year's CIP will form the backbone of the tentative budget that will get proposed at our next meeting. We will set 2 public hearings at that next meeting. Again, above and beyond what state law requires, a transparency that goes far beyond what's required by the state. State law only requires 1 public hearing. Not only do we do 2 public hearings, but the process started a couple months ago with a budget workshop where every department head came in to the town board right here in this room to present their requests for the budget. The Finance Committee will be reviewing the budget. So the transparency that we engage in is again, I would say second to none. There is no other town in Monroe County that reviews its budget as thoroughly and as publicly as the town of Brighton does. So kudos to you, Earl, and kudos to everybody that takes the time to do this work right. We'll have a motion to approve the plan, and then we'll have discussion. Nate, if you'd make that motion.
Yep, I'd like to make a motion to approve the, here we go. The next matter seeks to approve the 2025-2027 capital improvement plan. I move that we approve the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second?
Discussion. Earl, just a couple of questions that I have, a couple of our ongoing regular major infrastructure programs. The sewer rehab program, we have about $325,000 in the CIP for 2025. How does that compare to last year?
I can get that. Yeah.
Sorry.
Last year was $316,000.
So it's about a 3% increase. And the sidewalk replacement program, I know you had referenced, has gone up.
That was $299,520.
So about a 15%
Yeah.
increase. Infrastructure is very, very costly. Sidewalks in particular have been. And we struggle to keep up, but we have to keep up. So, any other questions? We have a motion then to approve the CIP, and I'll just say, the one other thing I'll say, although we're going to approve the CIP tonight, we all get another bite at the apple, because all of these items are reviewed again as part of the budget review process that will lead to a action on the town's budget for next year at our second meeting in October. So we have a motion. It's been seconded. If there's no further discussion, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Mailer?
Aye. Matters of the supervisor, I have nothing further. Matters of the attorney to the town, I know we have some executive session items tonight for matters of the employment of particular people.
That's correct, Supervisor. Nothing new to report. 3 executive session items leading to the employment and/or appointment of particular persons.
Anything on any of our litigation matters that we should also discuss in executive session? I know you gave us an update at our last meeting.
I don't, I can give you a brief update on one of the litigation matters involving the Icon Energy litigation if you'd like to enter into executive session on that as well.
Yeah, good. Thank you. Matters of the clerk. Quiet time of year for you, right?
Yeah, obviously, school tax collection has begun. Started off a little rocky. There were a number of issues with the county's vendor, and bills were available later than we're accustomed to. It caused a few, stressful phone calls for folks, but unfortunately, it was nothing that we had any control over. But everything is, we've received everything at this point. Everything is out in the mail. So as usual, if anybody hasn't received anything, please reach out to my office and we get the information you're looking for. I put a sign out back. I had mentioned last month that I was going to move the drop box from door 9 out front of PD to door 2. Figured it's easier to help folks out if they get a little confused while we're still in the building rather than once we move over to Westfall. Kind of like, the problem off 441 there, sometimes signs just aren't seen. Or, I think a lot of problem with that may just be distracted driving. And this, I think, may just be just distractions of life, and some people have not been able to find the new box while standing at the sign. But, lots of stuff goes on. It's tricky. But we're doing our best. Installment 1 due Monday.
Thanks, Dan. I really enjoy this time of year. I know it's rough in your office, but it really means we've got a lot more people in the building. I get a lot of opportunities to talk with people. I hear from people, anything from I had no idea how tall you are to questions about some of our ongoing plans and projects and the like. So it's really great to get the community in the building, and we do every year at our various tax seasons. And to a person, they have nothing but praise for your team during the tax collection season. So thanks for serving the community.
Thanks for that. And, it's busy, but, I started out, back when I got into this, and I'm like singing Beatles Tax Man, and I'm like, but it's a good time of year. It's always hard for folks to write a check, of varying size, and depending on what's going on in their lives, it may make it harder than other times. I certainly take a number of phone calls from folks trying to figure out how they're coming up with the money. And I just listen and try to make available to them whatever, wisdom I've cobbled together over the years to kind of put things in perspective and help them kind of work through and kind of put their minds at ease a lot of times. But it's a time where, like I said, people are coming in, seeing people you haven't seen in a while, and you get to chat through stuff. So for the vast, vast majority of the folks coming into the office, it's a very positive experience. And I think, echo kind of what you said of like a chance to hear about largely, again, almost counterintuitively, but largely, a lot of positives, things, that we get a lot of thanks for, and, for the town, various things that the town has done and you as the board have done. And so it's a good time here.
Good. Thanks for all that, and thanks for the report. Matters from the town board.
I do have two things, actually. One, I want to thank Councilmember Wilt for highlighting the last community bike ride and our partnership with Reconnect Rochester and the support from Jackie Marchand through her fabulous Brighton-based business, Women Tours. It is one of my dream vacations. I'm just putting it out there. Someday it's going to happen. But I just want to reiterate the importance of knowing how to get around Brighton on a bicycle and not in a gas-powered vehicle. It changes your perspective on everything. You see the town differently. You realize how close things are, much closer than you understand when you're behind the steering wheel. And you can't not have a good day if you've been on a bike. It's almost as happy as paying your taxes, almost. The other thing I wanted to highlight, the Pollinator Pathway Challenge continues, and I am very happy to report that the Brickyard Trail is up to the challenge. It met it. There will be signs posted at the beginning and end of Brickyard Trail to highlight the fact that we have a pollinator-friendly pathway. Exactly. So those signs should be up soon. Folks will be able to snap the QR code and go directly to the information on the town website about how they can also get involved in the Pollinator Pathway Challenge.
Love it. Anybody else? Then can I have a motion to go into executive session to discuss the employment of particular people and the litigation with Icon Energy?
Bill, I move that we go into executive session to discuss employment of particular people and to get a report on litigation.
Second.
Ann, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Thank you, everybody, for Judy, especially for sticking it out tonight. I do not expect that we'll come back out into open session after our executive session, so our next town board meeting will be Wednesday night, September 25th at 7 p.m. Have a great evening, everybody. Thank you again to our ASL interpreters.
I grabbed it. I think I'm like